And as this room fill up, be sure, and I mean just that, be sure to hit that like button, share this content, let that friend, that neighbor know where to go when it's time to tune in to Cowboys Sports Talk and beyond. But I got a special show for y'all today. I got a show about the college team that could be the Cowboys team, the Texas Cowboys, with special guests. I got Hardball. I got Corey in the building. Come on with it. The name is Law Nation. What's good with you, Hardball? What's good with you, bro?
Man, I'm excited to be here. You know that last time I saw you, we kicked it at the little spot with you and Clarence Hill, and we really enjoyed the conversation. So I'm ready to run it back, especially when we're going to be talking Longhorns as always.
Yeah, they say hook 'em over there, man. Sure. Hook 'em Longhorns. But I got Corey down below, man. What's your thoughts on everything, bro, as we get this show kicked off, bro?
Man, I'm really excited to see like what y'all about to do. I mean, you got a lot of holes in the draft. And so
we got holes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you go running back? Do you go DB? Like, I'm interested to see what y'all about to do. And there's a lot of Longhorns that can fill those holes.
A lot of Longhorns. But before I kick things off, man, are you a Cowboy fan or are you into the professional sides of things, or where you at with it?
Yeah, H-Town hold it down. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, you know, I'm from Houston. So,
wait a minute. Hold on, man. Come on, man. Hold on. You H-Town. Oh, my God. Where my shame button at?
Hey, but look.
No. Hey, man, you invited him to the party, the cookout. Come on.
I brought him into the cookout because he's good people.
Hey, check this. Went to school at UT Arlington, though. So,
okay.
Shout out Arlington. You know, I got a lot of ties there. So, yeah, I went to school out there.
Okay, no doubt. But with that being said, I already know, Mike, man, I know you are a Cowboy fan. You know what I'm saying? You expressed your concerns midway. We were still doing bad, right?
We were still looking bad out there, and that's something that we try to work through. But during that time, though, we learned a lot about this team.
Yeah, we did.
And at that point, you understand that sometimes you start looking at where's the direction.
Right.
Where's the direction that you're going? And right now, the Cowboys seem to be going into a different direction.
Okay. At that time, I believe he wasn't running the ball. It was like midway through the season. I don't know if Dak Prescott was still healthy at that time. I don't know if he was out. But y'all was talking about how your offense attacked Steve Sarkisian, how he attacked not vertically on the field, but horizontal, like horizontally. Yeah, I think y'all having that conversation, and to wear down the teams that's a little bit faster, right?
Yeah, Corey, mute your phone for a second until you get ready to pop off. But when you start to look at what Steve Sarkisian was able to do with Quinn Ewers is somebody that we were all looking at with this offense, and how is he going to create this opportunity for this team with so much talent to be able to stretch the field? Obviously, you look at how the time has passed and what it was about. You know, you brought up the lack of the running game. Well, the running game eventually emerged with Trey Wisner, a Dallas kid, DeSoto, being able to do his thing up there. But then you start to see, okay, what can they do differently? Well, they did some things differently, and I'm sure we're going to talk about one of those guys that definitely showed some growth throughout that season. And C-Mo actually is from, as he said, the Houston area, so he knew about Matthew Golden before because that guy was one of those dudes.
Yeah, C-Mo, man. Break down. Before we talk about Matthew Golden, though.
Yep.
I'm asking both of you guys. Y'all got the hook and blood all in you, man.
I already know where this is.
I already know. It is Texas, the new wide receiver university for the NFL, because you got A.D. Mitchell, you got Xavier Worthy. You've been having some situations, and I know Isaiah Bond's situation. I'm not going to go into details because I don't have all of the notes for that. But with Matthew Golden, living my life like it's golden, What's your thoughts on that part? What y'all doing over there?
Yeah, they're getting close to it. They really getting close to it. And I think you see it in two facets of, you see guys coming into the program. Like you mentioned, Adonai Mitchell, like you said, Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, but you also got the homegrown talent as well, the guys that are committing in high school, like Xavier Worthy. You saw a little bit of Ryan Wingo last year. He's going to pop off this year. And so you're getting transfers at that position coming in and seeing the value. And you also see the high schoolers seeing the value as well. So I think that's what you make as a wide receiver. Now, I will say, like, to be fair, LSU ain't missed yet. Look at Brian Thomas Jr., just now. They ain't missed yet. So
and you still got Ohio State, Ohio State, Alabama next year. Alabama, oh my God, Alabama, you still got to put that out there, So, y'all making some names, y'all making some moves over there in the wide receiver community.
Well, you talked about it. You look at the thing about it is, if you would have asked me that a couple seasons ago, I would have said no. I would have said no. They're not even in that. They're not even in that district as far as rent is concerned. But now they are living in that upper echelon because of the fact that, number one, you've got good quarterback play, and you look at that. You're running a pro-style offense. You have a head coach that actually coached in the NFL, who is an offensive-minded guy.
Right.
And then the one thing that people, I don't even know if we put enough thought into what Chris Jackson has been able to do. He was a guy that came over from the Jacksonville Jaguars, being an NFL-minded guy, coming and teaching these guys what it's like to be a pro, the route running, what the depths are supposed to be, how you're supposed to get off the line of scrimmage. And that is why I believe that Texas is now in the running, to your point, of being a place where wide receivers want to come, because they know that they're going to be taught at the highest level. And if they can cut it, they can make it. If they can't, they won't. And that is what they've been able to see. And those true talent rises to the top. And that's why you've seen a guy like Xavier Worthy, who everybody was talking about how light he was weight-wise. But they didn't understand the heart and the ability, if he's in the right place, to excel.
No doubt, man. So, C-Mo, what you got on that, man?
Well, I just want to say, I was just going to piggyback on the Xavier Worthy topic. Like, didn't miss a game, and the whole season long, everyone's talking about, can he survive in the league? Didn't miss a game. So, got to give props to X for doing that, and so. Yeah, like I said, I really messed with this class, though. Like, this Matthew Golden came out of nowhere. And like Mike was saying, I heard about him before he came over to Texas. I have a homie that covers the Cougars down there in Houston. And then I got another person that works on staff. And so they just kept saying, not only is he somebody that produces on the field, but off the field, his work ethic. And I think that's something that we learned about Matthew as this process of the draft is going on. And us hearing these stories early in the year, how he struggled with the offensive playbook. And so with that, he knew he was a little bit behind. And so he took the chance, and he went out and actually texted Sark personally and asked for some more one-on-one time. And was like, hey, I don't know this playbook like that, but I want to put in the extra time to be great. And I think that's what's something that people don't see, until later in the season. And then you start to see, oh, wow, the fruits of putting in that time. And so if the Cowboys drafted, you're getting a guy that's going to do a lot off the field as well.
Yeah, the program that you guys got over there is unbelievable, knowingly. And I'm going to be a little quick messy with y'all, that y'all passed up on the Natty. Because there's no way Quinn Ewers should have been starting, right? Or shouldn't, what they should have done. Let me know, both of y'all, man, what they should have done. Should you put the Manning in the game, or you just said, okay, you know what, we're gonna do the right thing like Spike Lee and keep Ewers out there? What's the storyline with that, man? Break that down for your boy over here.
Bro, I'll go first. Look, it's all about loyalty, bro. It's all about loyalty.
Man.
I feel like Quinn, bro, I'll tell you, bro. Quinn was Sark's guy. I mean, he brought him in from Ohio State, top recruit, whoop-de-whoop. But, like, you got to remember, Sark he didn't have a lot of success before this point. You know, he had to kind of build his image back up. And so Quinn helped him do that. Quinn helped him win a Big 12 championship. And so, yes, you have Arch Manning in the waiting, but then also I feel like Sark is thinking about the quarterbacks of the future. Like if KJ Lacey sees this, if Trey Owens sees this, if Dia Bell sees this, oh, wow, he benched Quinn Ewers. What is he going to do to me if I struggle, you know? And so I think that's what he's seeing in the pipeline of, look, I can't mess this up with Arch and Quinn because I have a lot of 5-star quarterbacks behind them that's watching how I move in this situation.
I respect that, Corey, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, and C knows how I roll, and Law, you know this too. Yeah. I sit here and I look at this game, and I look at the season, and everybody's looking at Quinn and thinking that Arch was going to do so much more. The thing about it, and Arch has put this on wax, he said, I played at a 2A school. The speed of the game. Yes, I had an opportunity to do some things against UTSA. But if you go back and you watch the Mississippi State game, the game was a little bit different for him. The game and the speed was a little bit different. Now you put him in some of these other situations, going up against a Georgia Bulldog team that is going to have a bunch of guys get drafted just like the University of Texas. He might not have been able to have that. And then you also got to deal with the confidence level. Just because your last name is Manning doesn't mean you have to walk with the same swagger as those guys because they put it on the wall already. He's going to get plenty of opportunity. And I know that everybody keeps looking at him and saying he's possibly the number 1 pick in the draft next year. Yeah. Who's to say that he wants to leave? Because let's be honest, the dude is really living his best life in college. Yeah. So there's no rush. There's not a family need of saying rush him to the NFL. So Sark is looking at it in a grand scheme of things while we look at the microcosm of it all and try to say, oh, well, he would have done this. Really? You think he would have?
I think he was looking cold-blooded out there, bro. It's true. I ain't gonna put nothing past him though. But I guess what you said, doing the right thing, loyalty. And speaking of loyalty, transferring over to my Dallas Cowboys, as we all hear today. I'm not going to start off with Matthew Gold. I'm going to start off with someone that everybody had at the top of their list, but then when everything started to go through, people were like, I'm not that fond of him. And Kelvin Banks, that's his name. Do y'all think that the Cowboys would draft him if it's a situation and scenario?
Yeah, I think I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand his drop on the stock. Like, I don't know where it's coming from. Because like as time has went on, even at the combine, he looked great at the combine. At the pro day, he looked great. There hasn't been anywhere where he's kind of had some worries with Will Campbell at LSU. It's about his arms, right? Everyone's talking about his arms, but you see his stock really falling. And so that's why I'm confused about. I've seen mocks with Kelvin dropping to Houston. I'm like, whoa, when is this happening? And so I think Kelvin, y'all definitely will utilize him now.
Yeah.
Hey, chill out.
I'm just saying.
Straight Larry Tunsil. I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, and so I think the Cowboys, I think they want to get back to where they're at. Y'all just honored Tyron Smith. Getting a guy like Kelvin Banks that has a potential to have a guy at left tackle for the rest of the next decade. And I think why not have that for a guy in Dak? You're paying him for the next decade anyways.
Well, I'm with you right there, Simo. And the thing that really is interesting to me when it comes to Kelvin Banks is because, and I say this every single day on our show, I say, you listen to the prognosticators throughout the time. He went up against every single top first-round pick that was out there. You look at the first-round pick for the Texans when they took Anderson Jr., who was a defensive rookie of the year, didn't do anything against him. You look at Ndike, the defensive end that was the Big 12 defensive player of the year from K-State. Nothing, nullified, all of that. And that is why we are all in shock that every single week he went from Coming into the season, he was recognized as the top offensive lineman. He won the award this year, if I'm not mistaken. Dude has been to awards banquets.
Right.
I'm still not sure how they continue to look at him as someone who may or may not be successful in the NFL, and that's why his stock is dropping. Coaches have told you all your life,
Right.
the eye in the sky does not lie. And if you go back and watch film on him, the film tells you bona fide baller that got better and better every single year.
So he's still at the age of 21, right? So he's 6'4", way north of 310 pounds. So what I
84 and a half inch wingspan.
Yeah. But do you kick him inside on the next level? Because tackles make better guards. So you seeing him as a tackle?
Yes, absolutely. That is what he is. Let me ask you this. You saw what happened with Tyler Smith. Yeah, they're still struggling to decide. But Tyler Smith's problem was he was holding all the time. When you're on the inside, they don't call holding on the guard that much. They call it on the tackle because you're on the island.
Right.
He doesn't commit a lot of penalties. And Tyler Smith did. You're going to tell me you believe that Tyler Smith is going to be better than Kelvin Banks? I don't believe that. I think Kelvin
prospect wise, yeah, you're right. Kelvin Banks is a higher upside than a Tyler Smith, you know.
Right. But
all right, so if you are the Cowboys and you just drafted Tyler Guyton, right? And his issue now, he's long, you know, he's 6'7". He can give Moses a handshake. He can go reach up to the heavens and say, "Hey, Moses, what's up?" You know, and his problem was, and if you look back at the tape, he got good feet. He's athletic as hell. If they do pull, the trap, GT counters, all of the stuff that Connor Riley is going to try to implement here, that's good. But last year tape is all what we know of Tyler Guyton, and people are going to look at all of those penalties. Where would you place, as a Dallas Cowboys diehard fan, right, and you passed up Golden to draft Kelvin Banks, where would you put Kelvin Banks at on this team right now?
I would put him at left tackle as expected, and I would put Tyler Guyton on the right side. That way he's on the front side of that, and you try to figure out what you're doing with Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele didn't have his best season, and he hadn't been having his best seasons since he got paid. So we got to kind of check that too and see what's going on with that. But I can move him to the right side because he's going to be on that front side and put Kelvin on blind side.
Rookie year. Ooh, we going through that growing pains once again. So what's your thoughts on that, Corey? Simo?
I just want to go back to what Mike was saying earlier about Kelvin, who he's faced in his college career. Everybody that he named was before this season. Like, he was locking down dudes before his senior year. And so he's been having this type of potential since junior, sophomore, freshman year. But yeah, I agree with him. You put him on the left side. You put him where his natural position is, protect Dak's blind side, and then you move everybody else because we just said it, he has the most potential between everyone y'all drafted in the last 5 years. And so if you put him on the most prime time position, put him at left tackle, I think that's where you need to place him.
No doubt, man. Boy, you guys are cooking with some grease over here, man. I wasn't ready for all of this good stuff, man. All right, so before we go any further,
I gotta say this though. I'm about to go to my radio show right now. I gotta go to my radio show. I gotta bounce. But it's been nice. Have me on again, please.
Most certainly, man. Especially if we have more time, because we can do it post draft when we draft all of these Texans over Texas Longhorns over here, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Already.
Appreciate you, bro. All right. Yes, indeed, man. That's a good insert right there of all of that information that he provided, especially knowing that he talked to these players and get a chance to have one-on-one encounters with these guys. The next person that I want to pull up here is Alfred Collins, and we'll save Matthew Golden for the back end of it.
No doubt.
What's your thoughts on him? If the Dallas Cowboys, you would probably have to get him in the second, right? Because he's not going to fall to the third. So what would be your thoughts if the Cowboys with the 44th pick draft Alfred Collins? Man, break him down for us.
Alfred Collins, the big man from the University of Texas. He is someone that everyone was waiting for his potential. He finally got there, and his upside is unbelievable. Mother was a basketball player at the University of Texas. So you know he has good feet, but now he is working at the next level with the Dallas Cowboys, strength and conditioning. He was learned from Torrey Becton, and now he's going to the next stop. And once he gets in the league, you don't want to see this bear get loose.
At 6'5", 320 pounds, ran a 4.940.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about he can move space and move matter out the way to get upfield.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. And that's one of the biggest questions that has been going on. If you go back and you look at the development of the last couple seasons, not just of Alfred, but the guys that ended up getting drafted pretty high, Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, those are the guys that he was learning from.
I didn't even think about it that way.
And then he's being pushed by those guys every single day. When he was recruited to the University of Texas, everybody kept saying his potential, but he didn't understand his potential. You know, he was one of those guys that was just big all his life, was able to do some things and was athletic enough. Now he understands leverage. Now he understands technique. Now he's gotten to that point where when a big play needed to be made, he made the big play. He is someone that once he gets to the next level, I think he's going to be one of those guys that play at least 5 to 10 years in the league and be successful at it, if that's what he wants to do, because he has not tapped into everything that he has yet. Texas tried to pull a lot of it out of him, but once you start getting to that next level and you're with those vets, they're going to pull it all out of you.
Man, especially if for those who don't know, man, we have a big old hole on that defensive front. And as we can look right here, you see the grades, and I know we don't do the grades here, but we all seen the tape of Mozzie, right?
Yes.
And I'm not beating Mozzie up. He's not a quick twitch guy, right?
Yep.
He tends to keep his pad levels a little bit too high. But if you have a guy like a Alfred Collins who's 6'5", 320, real 320, right? 4.940, you know, that like you said, picked up traits from the previous people that was in that locker room. Is he a day one starter? Do he knocks Mozzie off of that? And you rotate Mozzie in and you have Parsons, Collins, Osa, Sam Williams on that front. Is that a better front for you?
I think it has the potential to be that. I mean, he's got to want to come in and be that person. I know he will definitely come in and push Mozzie, because we've all been waiting on Mozzie to take that next step. And there's been glimpses. There's been some little shine there, but you got to want to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
And if you're going to be that guy that's going to plug that hole in the middle to free up those linebackers and get them in space, you have to be that guy to lock them in. And he does have the potential to do so. Because of his frame, he has a little bit more room to get a little bit bigger, but his strength is going to be his biggest key.
Man. Oh, there's a guy that – oh, what school did this guy went to? I'm circling him right now. Yeah.
Hey, who is that cowboy right there?
Yeah. So in this guy in 12 games, he had over 90 tackles and 5 sacks. Don't you know that it took 4 other guys the whole schedule to do that, right? Overshawn, and I know he's been hurt, but he's been one of the vocal leaders. The linebacker, people fail to realize, in order for a linebacker to scrape and hit things and run free, it all counts on these guys up here. Absolutely. If I want him to plug through a gap, if I want him to hit the C, which is forever, I need for him to be able to have somebody up front. And I think Alfred can bring that to the table. My thing is, will the Cowboys value that? You know, will they look into the mirror and say, all right, this is somebody that I know for sure we can utilize and use in this space.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you talked about his speed, and the lateral movement is something that is really key for him. You know, he played high school basketball, and a lot of folks are always like, of course,
tell us more. Come on.
He was a big guy. He was this, but you still have to be able to move around. You still have to be athletic enough, and you have to be light on your feet. And he was a guy that was actually all of those things. So he understands movement. He can move, like I said, the lateral movement. He's going to be at the point of attack. He's somebody that whichever team gets him, and I'm with you, if the Cowboys have to dip in there and get him in the second round, because I don't think he'll be around in the third round at all, especially the where the Cowboys pick, I would definitely take a chance on him if that is an area of need. Cowboys always seem to take best available, and two of those guys that are best available, one of them is Kelvin Banks, and another one will probably be Alfred Collins.
All right, let me be with this right here, and we're gonna add him onto the stage here. All right, who we have here, Hardball?
That's my guy, Eric Henry of Horns 24/7. He's a guy that has been doing this for quite some time. As you can see, he's been to a lot of places on his wall. He's covered the sport well, and I always give him a hard time because his first year covering the Texas Longhorns, Texas goes to the Big 12 championship game. They get a victory, and then his second season, they're going to the SEC championship, and both years are in the college football playoffs. He does a great job for Horns 24/7 and 24/7 Sports, so I thought it would be only proper to have my guy on here as well.
Man, that's a reigning endorsement right there, Eric, man. I'm going to see if you can follow through there. Come on with it.
I got to live up to the expectation. Good morning. Appreciate it, fellas. You know, Hardge, my bad. Apologies for missing your text. It's portal season, man. It's that time of year where, you know, some players are getting called in by the coaches and tell them in the new era of college football, hey, you ain't got to go home. You can't be here. It's
funny business. Hey, way these kids making money nowadays at NIL. I'm gonna see if I can get into a transfer portal myself. You know what I'm saying? And transfer myself 20 years ago, and let me just get in. Let me be on the bench. I hear they still giving money away. Just been on the bench, you know.
And it's funny that you bring that up about the portal, E, because we started the show talking about Adonai Mitchell. We talked about what Matthew Golden was able to bring with the transfer portal and being with Coach Sark. And now we were just talking about the possibility of, let's say, a Kelvin Banks, because this is something that you and I have actually discussed ourselves. It's like, I don't understand the dropping of a Kelvin Banks.
Sure.
So Corey gave his thoughts on it. What is something that you thought when you hear about Kelvin Banks and possibly dropping?
Stay with me for a second, fellas.
I got you.
It's that time of year, man. It's just silly. I will call out. So for those, your audience may not know, 24/7 Sports is owned by CBS Sports. So I will call up my own publication here. I saw, I cannot remember his name. Otherwise, I would name the writer. It's a draft, one of CBS Sports draft people, who of all people said Jahdae Barron is someone who could be a bust, and gave all of the reasons about short arms, or he doesn't flip his hips in this way, and so on and so forth. And I can't help but laugh, because I understand I'm close to the situation. I cover Texas.
Right.
If you watch Jahdae Barron play football, you don't need much more than that. Just turn on the film and you see an excellent football player. As Hardge mentioned, I joined the beat 2023. It took me, the Wyoming game was the game after Alabama. So what was that? Week 3, I believe. The first it took me 3 weeks to realize, man, that guy, damn good football player. Right. So to bring it back around to Kelvin Banks, is that time of year where and I'm not even saying the scouts, I think the draft prognosticators, and I'm not hating on all of them, right? You know, we all got jobs to do, right? But
you got to do your job. Yep.
They start overanalyzing things. With Kelvin Banks, they're saying short arms. Can he handle the workload at tackle? She moved into guard. All I would say to that is the dude started as an 18, 19-year-old true freshman at Texas for 3 years and only gave up, 2 sacks? I don't know how much more you need than that, right? Like it's one of those things, I kind of get off the soapbox. It frustrates me when, regardless of the sport, we try to change the athlete before they even attempt what it is they're going to do, right? How many times back in the day did you switch quarterbacks before they even had an opportunity to play quarterback? If you get Kelvin Banks in the league for 5 years and it says, and he shows, okay, it isn't working out at tackle, maybe we kick him into guard, that's fine, but not before he's even had a chance to do that, right? So I'm saying all that to say it's just that time of year, man, where people start picking apart things and just need stuff to talk about. It doesn't make any sense.
Let me ask you this, Eric, because my guy Mike, he's stating that you want to keep him at tackle, on the next level. So are you of that belief? Because I'm of the belief great tackles make great guards, on the next level as well. So dealing with the Cowboys and knowing their circumstances, what would be your strategy if with the 12th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select,
Okay. If we're talking about Kelvin here, because I could make the case.
Make the case.
Personally.
In the hot seat.
Personally, I'm an Ashton Jeanty guy. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be a stud. Right now, you got to have a line to run behind. So maybe you got to take that into consideration, right? But if I were making the case for Kelvin, it's as simple as this. Again, you're not talking about someone who played right tackle first and he moved him over to the left and only had 1 year of experience. He's been a bookend left tackle since the day he walked on campus as a freshman. To me, I'm forgetting the guy's name. Kansas City took this is going back a decade ago. Took a guy, I want to say it's a kid out of Central Michigan, if memory serves me correct. First overall, Eric Fisher is his name. Eric Fisher, right? And Eric Fisher never made maybe made one Pro Bowl. But that was an example, fellas, of like, all right, not working at tackle. We'll move him to guard, move him to right tackle. It's not working out. But that took 3, 4, 5 years to figure that out, right? Why would we take someone who's done nothing but have success at said position, has all the size? We're not talking about a 6'1" left tackle, 6'4", 6'5", 315 pounds, right? Like if there's something that's glaring, a 5'10" quarterback, I get it. But he has all the measurables. So yeah, if I'm Jerry Jones in Dallas and you want to take a kid who would have no issue putting on that star on his helmet, yeah, go do that.
Yeah, that's a good stance right here. When I always pull up Tankathon, I kind of use them as a measure right there. Let me pull them up and let you know where they had Banks going. Now, your CBS do have Banks still ranked, I believe, number 8 overall out of this draft. They put Armand Membu right in front of him.
Yep. And
they put Will Campbell in front of him. But do you see Banks better than those two?
I do. I voted for Kelvin. I have an Outland Award trophy vote. I voted for him over Will Campbell, right? And this is no shade on Will Campbell personally. I just view, and again, right, I'm sure if you had someone on the show who covered LSU, they may make the case for Will Campbell. But personally speaking, when I look at Kelvin Banks, the body of work, and it's funny you made the case, right, that a good tackle can make a good guard, right?
Right.
Kelvin has all the athleticism. I would look, even though this play is going to be a sore spot for Horns fans, go look at the goal line toss that was run against Ohio State, right? Now, that play didn't work. It got blown up. A great safety in Caleb Downs blew that thing up, right?
Right.
But look at Kelvin's ability to go out and pull from the tackle position. I've seen that play run maybe 50 times in the 2 years I've been covering Texas. That play works 49 out of 50 times, all right? Maybe it doesn't work against an Ohio State in the CFP, right? One of the top defenses in the nation. But you run that thing in the SEC, Kelvin Banks is leading the way, right? It's those types of things that I think, even Hardge can speak to this. Let's use a Cam Williams as an example, right?
Okay.
Cam Williams is a hell of a talent, very raw talent. But how many times did you hear Cam Williams get called for holding?
Yeah.
How many times you get called for hands to the face? Right?
False
start. Cam Williams, for your audience who may not know, finished second, I believe, in the nation, and second in the nation in FBS players, FBS offensive linemen, in penalties called. All right. You ever hear Kelvin Banks call for a penalty? Very rarely, right? So I'm sitting here saying, just from an overall fundamentals perspective, everything you could ask for in a left tackle. What more do you want, right?
What more do you want from me? So speaking of Cam, this is a good segue over to him. Where do you place him at in this particular draft? And he's standing at 335, 6'5", and he's a mountain of a man. What's your thoughts on him, man?
The issue with Cam is going to be the weight. All right. If Cam is coming in at 330, 335,
335-ish, yeah.
You got a late first round pick in my mind. If Cam is coming in around 360, 365, that's where things get tricky. I say this affectionately about Cam.
Yep.
And Hardge, Corey and I were joking about this the other day at player availability. Listen, there are some guys who go to college and they're about the college experience, right? And they want to do 4 years and the whole nine. Cam ain't coming to play school. Okay. Yep. Cam came to Texas to go to the NFL, right?
Wow.
That's just, I'm not telling any secrets. That's the book on Cam Williams. That dude is football through and through. Came here ready. Cam Williams could have got a 6th round grade. And I promise you he was coming out this year because he was ready to go be a pro. But in terms of all the intangibles, right? At his size, his athleticism is crazy and off the charts. The thing, when you spoke with Kyle Flood said in terms of Cam Williams and the penalties, he felt that it was a matter of reps, right? I agree with Coach Flood in the sense that, of course, the more reps you get, right, you can kind of work some things out of your system. However, when is it a blip or when is it a trend? Even Cam Williams' first career start when he started for Christian Jones against Kansas State. Remember, Christian Jones had an ankle injury in 2023, couldn't suit up. Cam Williams had an excellent day, didn't give up a sack, but got called for 4 penalties. Okay, so how much of that is kind of innate within him, and how much of that can be coached out of him with reps? That's a concern. But if I'm, an NFL team, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", at his size, with his athleticism doesn't grow on trees. Right. I can't see him slipping any further than the 2nd round because I just think the premium you have on offensive linemen, you got to take them.
Yep.
Hardball, man. If you Cowboys, what you doing with that?
Well, you're gonna wait a little bit. You're gonna wait a little bit to get him if he's around, because there is gonna be a possibility of him dropping a little bit because of some of the things that was talked about. He wasn't that first round talent like Tyler Smith that you can look past a lot of those penalties that he had because his ability to play the game was a lot higher. I also believe that when you watch Cam Williams, he is a guy that is definitely one of the nastiest ones on the team. When there was something about to jump off, he was right there and ready to go. He's not going to put up with any of the nonsense that may be happening to his teammates. So he's definitely one of those offensive linemen that you want to get down with for sure. But I'm with what he said, being around the program and being able to see these guys and getting that time, you understand who these people are. And if you want somebody that's just going to care about football and go play some football, this is the dude that you want on your squad. But I don't see him hopping up at one of those high level picks right away.
Man, no doubt, man. Boy, look, everything can literally be the Dallas Cowboys in good shape if they do an all Texas draft. That's crazy.
No doubt.
You mentioned Jahdae Barron. We have a lot of holes on the Dallas Cowboys team, and especially in the secondary. Now, where do you see him as at this particular spot in his career going into the pros? Do you see him as an outside DB, or do you see him as an inside? Where would you place Jahdae? Whoever want to jump on. Yeah,
I'll go first and make it quick, Hardge. I wouldn't limit him to just one spot, right? That to me, again, is the challenge, kind of the old school way of thinking, right? Which is, all right, we got this guy, we can only play him at corner, we can't move him around, right?
Right.
Let me give you an example. I'm not comparing Jahdae to this player in terms of necessarily style of play, but his versatility. Ed Reed. Okay.
Oh my God.
Ed Reed.
Why you gonna do this to me?
Listen, hear me out. Hear me out.
All right. I'm gonna put the big screen on you, man. Come on. You gotta fight that.
Ed Reed in his prime was a player who you could line him up in the box. You could line him up at corner if you wanted to. You could line him up at safety. You can line him up in the slot, right? Jahdae Barron has exhibited all of those things. He had what you would say Some, depending on, kind of how you see it, his best success at that star nickel corner, right? Where you're the glue of the defense. You're playing in the box. You're playing in the run fit. Jahdae Barron as a sophomore, if memory serves me, it was the year before I got on the beat. So 2022, led Texas in tackles for loss, like 13 and a half, 14 and a half. Okay. Excellent tackler. One of the critiques in that CBS scouting report was that Jahdae wasn't a consistent tackler. I don't know where you get that from. Sure. Hardge, fellas, if you're playing on the outside, and you're playing in space, you're going to miss a tackle, right? That's just what happens when you have athletes coming at you, right? But I would never call Jahdae Barron an inconsistent tackler. So to your question, I would use him outside. If I'm playing against, let's just say, the throwback, kind of offense where the New England Patriots would use their best receiver in the slot. You put him in the slot, right? He is not a Jalen Ramsey who doesn't travel. You put him wherever that best receiver is. You travel him, or if I want to put him at safety, you do there, right? You can blitz, you can do all these things. So that's what I personally would do with Jahdae Barron.
So with Jahdae, he's like 5'10", 5'11" right?
Yeah.
Why would if Jahdae's about 5'11", yeah.
About 5'11", okay. So you got Malachi Starks right there.
Sure.
Why would you take if you're making a case, and you made that case with Ed Reed, right?
Sure.
So you saying that he's kind of like, if he's Ed Reed, he's head and shoulders over Malachi, right? In your opinion,
I think Malachi,
and this is not no hookums.
No.
There's no hookums. Okay, good.
It's just my opinion.
Okay.
I think Jahdae is a better cover defensive back than Malachi Starks. If you want, here's the thing, right? You're gonna have to overlook the size. Jahdae's about, I don't know what he came at the combine. It was under 200, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know that he can play at 200 or 205. You're gonna have to overlook that. You're gonna have to buy into the film, look at what you saw, and say that guy plays bigger than his size. Hardge can attest to this. Who was the most physical defensive back on this team? Jahdae Barron, right? Yeah. And that's regardless of the size. So you're gonna have to turn on the film and buy into that more than necessarily the physical measurements, because there are other players. I mean, if Caleb Downs were in this draft, then okay, I probably would insert him in that spot that I'm referring to, right? Yeah. But you're gonna have to overlook some of those measurables and just turn on the film.
Yeah. So let me tell you this: what I see with Jahdae. Obviously, he's the Thorpe Award winner. They don't just give those out. You have to go out there and earn that. And going back to the ability to be able to play all over the field, that was, to me, one of the things that I was hoping wasn't going to happen. And the reason why I say that is because once he got settled in at the cornerback position, that's where he really took off. They call it the star position, where you're playing the slot. He was a guy, to Eric's point, he would come up and pop you. He was very physical all the time. Jahdae is somebody that no matter what is asked of him, he's going to do it to the best of his abilities. He can talk that talk and he can walk that walk. The physicality on the edge is something, as we talked about before, how physical is he going to be,
right,
strength-wise, with these grown men NFL wide receivers? Well, the SEC is what everybody was talking about, was the NFL at one point.
It was.
Texas came in there and they handled their business, and he was able to hold his own. Hence the reason why he is the Thorpe Award winner. Jahdae Barron is going to be a superstar on whatever team he is. I made this comparison the other day just because of the physicality. I think Jahdae Barron is more like the honey badger, to be quite honest with you. He has that type of a skill ability, because what did people say about Tyronn Lue? He couldn't turn. He couldn't run.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he did. He made plays, and they put him in the strong safety position, or the not free safety, but the position where rover, where he can move from side to side and be versatile to go more towards the weak side than he was to the strong side. So I would compare him more to a Tyrann Mathieu because of the fact of his versatility and the things that he's capable of doing. He is a first-round pick for sure.
Man, so you guys would be fighting each other, man, if y'all in that war room, right? And you try to make a case between Banks, Golden, and Jahdae, and all of these boys, man, because there's a tier of, like, good football skill sets that the Cowboys definitely need at 12, right?
Exactly.
So when I add this kid to the table, this is the same kid. Hold on. Y'all bear with me. Yeah.
Keep it on there.
Yeah. Here you go. I got to get him up off of it and then add him to the table. Yeah. Break it down. What are y'all, man?
Hardge, I'll let you lead off first, Hardge.
Mukuba, go ahead.
Andrew Mukuba, the kid from LBJ right here in Austin, Texas, went to Clemson, learned under Venables in his defensive scheme, and then come to the University of Texas and learn on this defensive scheme with Pete Kwiatkowski. This guy is an intelligent football player. He too, slight build, but the toughness is no doubt. Went to Clemson, was an All-American player his freshman year. And when he got back to the University of Texas, coming back to Austin, Texas, it looked like his game just really felt more comfortable. If you look at the last couple of years at Clemson, he just didn't look comfortable. He was dealing with all kinds of other stuff and a couple injuries. But when he got back to Texas, he figured out that this was the place that he needed to be. They let him be freer. They let him do the things that I always compare it to, if you want me to do something well, put me in a position to do something well. Don't put me in a position where I'm going to look bad and I'm going to fail. Do what you can to put me in the right position. And that's what he was able to do. The intelligence is something too. Look, I know all these people are thinking about, oh, you need to draft this, you need to draft that. What is the fit for your football team? And it doesn't have to be at the very beginning. It doesn't have to be at the end. But if you can get a player like this in those middle rounds, you will not be upset with what you have. Because as little as he may look, he will come up and pop you too.
Yeah. He reminds me of there's a DB play for the San Francisco 49er, Mustafa.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of him, how he come down, hit and feel, and he's an aggressive guy, even at that frame of 5'11", 6 foot-ish, and he's a 4'4", 40 guy. He can cover every blade of grass, and his tape jumps out on the field when you see him. So he would be more of a second round guy or late first. Is that correct?
I'll say second or third. I'll look at that level. Latest would be the third.
Okay. What's your thoughts on him, Eric?
I probably would go 4 on Drew. I think his pro day helped him.
Right.
Especially getting that 4.4 time, because he didn't run in Indy. So that really helps getting that time because of his size. I'm going to give you the comp when I see him. A little bit of a dated comp, but Adrian Wilson. Remember Adrian Wilson, who played with the Arizona Cardinals? His son, Adrian Santana Wilson, actually plays for Texas, right?
Well, you went way back in archives. Keep going.
to me, that's the comp, though, right? Because Adrian Wilson was a guy coming out of NC State, who I think was like a 3rd or 4th round pick, who size-wise, Adrian Wilson probably legit 6 foot 6'1", whereas Drew's closer to 5'11", a little bit on the slider side, but a really excellent tackler. Piggybacking off of what Hardge said, he got used a little more in the star role, in that slot corner role at Clemson, whereas he felt he was more of a safety. And I think you saw Drew really flourish just being used exclusively as a safety. So yes, this is kind of the opposite of Jahdae, right? I don't want to move Drew around a lot, right? I want to leave him at safety. Ideally, I think he's a field side, a free safety. You probably want to. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bigger safety lining up, right? But you probably want someone. If you look at Texas's defense, Hardge can attest to this. How many times did you see Michael Taft come up in the box and kind of, he was that person who was either come off and blitz or show blitz and drop back into maybe, a cover 3 look, right? Depending on what the corners were doing. But Drew was always that deep safety, right? Or for the most part was that deep safety. I think that's Drew's role. And then he can be an excellent tackler in run support and when plays come his way.
Yes, most certainly. So with that being said, like when you look at what my team needs, right? And the Cowboys, we still have a glaring hole in secondary. Bland goes down, we are back to the board again with like moving pieces around. Trayvon Diggs, he got bone to bone on his knees. So that's a major situation there. You don't want to rush him back. And if whether you go with Jahdae Barron early in the earlier rounds, you still have to go into this draft and maybe figure out ways that you can add another defensive back that can be versatile to play safety, because I think Malik Hooker's in a contract year, Dono is in a contract year. So we need to replace those options there. And I think that Mukuba can bring that to the table. Man, like I said, we can be all literally Texas boys over here. Yeah.
Ain't no way Jerry's doing that from his Arkansas days.
No doubt. I'm gonna bring this other picture up because we're gonna talk about him, and this is an area of major need for the Dallas Cowboys, believe it or not. And I didn't know he was that fast until I saw him on the field. Till I saw him at the combine, right? And then I went back and started watching tape, and people was like, "Hey, low key, he's right there with Jahmyr Gibbs. Same height, same measurables, and damn near same speed." What's your thoughts on it, man? Any one of y'all can take that away.
Well, I'll start it off. He was one of the top backs in the country coming out of high school. He actually set out his senior year because he didn't want to get hurt because of the move and everything that was going on with college athletics at that time. So he actually set out of high school. And then he gets to the University of Texas, and you saw what that running back room looked like when you have a Bijan Robinson, a Roshan Johnson, and you just keep bringing in guy after guy after guy. But he waited his time, he got his opportunity, and he made the most of it. The only problem that I saw with him over the last couple seasons was being able to hold on to the football. Tashard Choice, former Dallas Cowboy, was the running back coach for the Texas Longhorns. And if you know anything about Tashard, he don't play. He loves
he don't.
He don't play. Don't put my ball on the ground. Yes, Jonathan Brooks was the other one as well. So you start looking at that entire running back room. So you had to work your magic to get in there. I think he is going to be a steal for anybody that gets him because he still has that untapped potential. And he's a very, very tough young man. And he understands because of the leadership that he was around, he's going to get an opportunity to play.
Yes, indeed. I got him pegged around, late thirds, early fourth. Whenever they start taking them runs at running back, speed is speed. And those are things, like you say, and you are verifiable from the program you come from. People that borrow credibility, they're going to look at the previous running backs and say, hey, maybe Tashard Choice was doing the right thing with them, right? And I'm quite sure Choice did coach Jahmyr Gibbs to a degree.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Even though he went over there to Detroit now, I ain't going to be
to where Gibbs is.
Money is the money.
He's with Gibbs.
Yeah, he with Gibbs, I ain't going to get mad at him because at the end of the day, they say, take the money out, all of it. He had to take the money out. But what's your thoughts, Eric, on Blue?
Oh, man. All right. So Hardge made a lot of great points. I'm going to come back to those in a second. I'm going to speak to you just from a reporter's perspective first.
Okay, good.
One of the things I respect most about Jaden Blue is those fumbles. In college, you don't have to go speak to the media. All right. All you got to do is tell John Bianco, I don't want to talk. And guess what? You won't have to show up in front of the media. Okay.
Right.
Jaden Blue, when he was going through his fumbling struggles, showed up, came to post game, answered questions, came to Mondays, answered questions.
Right.
The reason I mention that from a next level perspective is you're getting a pro. You're getting a mature young man who understands what the responsibility is of being a professional athlete. Everything Hardge said is spot on, okay? Blue's one of the most frustrating and challenging guys because you see everything. It's all there. The speed you'd want at a running back. Yeah. What was it? Not the Mississippi State was the game he got benched. I'm forgetting the game that he took. It was I think it might have been the Florida game, I believe, that he took just a quick little pass and that opening was there. That little bit of daylight.
It was Florida.
Yeah. I saw some.
Gone.
Yeah.
Right. That's legit NFL speed that translates. However, as we all know, the hopes and dreams of the franchise, you're carrying it. You can't put it on the ground. I want to say, because I don't have the numbers in front of me, I believe it was 7 career fumbles for Blue. It's either 7 or 8. There was one point in the season in which Blue, per average, was averaging a fumble every 34 touches. All right. That's not high school. That's not middle school level, let alone NFL level, right? You can't put the ball on the ground at that rate. But in talking about the positives, I would like to see him grow a little bit as a runner between the tackles. I think he's better than he gets credit for, but I don't necessarily know if it's that. I would hate to see Blue kind of be a guy who's like, all right, you can only run him outside, right? Because of his speed. I think he has the ability, as Hardge mentioned, he actually had a kneecap injury. I want to say it was once in middle school, I think. Jaden said that he had a kneecap injury and then got injured again in high school. So that led him to sitting out his senior year, right? So just like Cam Williams, I think some of the issues with him, whether it's fumbling, whether it's the nuances of running between the tackles, can be picked up with reps. So that's one thing there. But the value he also brings, I think he'd be an excellent returner, a kick returner, and his hands out of the backfield are tremendous. All right. Yeah. Legit NFL hands. And I don't think Jaden got enough credit for his ability. It wasn't always perfect, but you got to have the willingness in pass pro to stick your head in there and try to pick up a linebacker. Right. Wasn't always great, but at least he's tried. Right. That's something you can be coached on a little bit. So Jaden, when talking about a draft, where would I take him? If you're really bought in on Jaden Blue, I can see him going as high as late 2, 3. If you're someone who you feel you need to see a little bit more, whether it's the fumbling or the reps, I can see him going 4, but I don't think he goes any later than 4.
No later than 4th. Okay, because of that speed, man, and his ability. Yeah, that speed just sells it. And he, and by you adding the other insights of his knee injuries and happened to sit out a year and get back into it, he may be faster than that, Dan. If that's the case, yeah. Especially for my team, we have Javonte Williams, we have a Miles Sanders, a Deuce Vaughn, and a Hunter Lupke. I'm not saying if the Cowboys end up not drafting the running back in the first 2 or 3 picks, if you go get a Blue, then that means you're going to be utilizing him in the backfield as swing passes. You're going to put him on wheel routes. You're going to be utilizing him in that particular capacity as a split back or not a every down back. He's going to be a rotational piece. And that could be a trend of the NFL, right? Outside of what Saquon Barkley did last season. And that's a whole nother conversation. The other guy that we're going to bring up is, of course, the Matthew Golden. He is the everything.
Stop the show now.
We can start the show. But you know what? Let me just say this right quick. I want to be able to add this before we go into the Golden aspect of it. What's your thoughts just on pure talent? And I want to bring this up because he still, even though he said he was going to run an unbelievable 40 time, right? And he ended up running a 4.35, and people call that slow, right? And it's crazy, right? What's your thoughts on him? And outside of the other stuff that he's going through, what would he look like as a talent, just from a talent alone in the NFL level?
Hardge, you want to go first, or
you can go?
Okay. IB is tricky, right? There's no doubt he was banged up last year, and I'm not even talking about off the field stuff. I'm just talking about purely football. He was banged up last year. Right, his production didn't match what he had his last year at Alabama. He was brought in to be the number 1 receiver, right? I know Steve, will say
was not met.
Right, I know Steve will say we don't have number 1s. Okay, IB was brought in to be the number 1 receiver, right? And the expectation is he would kind of build off of his success at Bama, be 1,000-yard guy. Be not necessarily Xavier Worthy per se, but that Xavier Worthy role, who takes the top off the defense and opens up things for Gunnar Helm, Matt Golden, etc. How much of it was injuries? I don't know. Right. I don't think IB is a bad route runner, but he's not Matt Golden as a route runner, right? I think some of the things that you like about Matthew Golden at the point of attack, goes up and gets that ball, right? You don't necessarily see some of those things with IB. And I don't think it's tricky because I don't think he's strictly a speed guy. But I think he's still in a place where he's relying on his speed, if that makes sense. And also, let's not discount this factor. He was playing with a quarterback who was banged up, and Quinn Ewers, right? Yeah. Like that also is a factor as well. One of Quinn Ewers, I'm a Quinn Ewers guy,
right?
but Quinn hasn't showed a demonstrated ability to hit the deep ball. That's an IB strength, right? Yep. You know who had a real ability to hit that deep ball? Jalen Milroe. Okay. So there are factors that you can account for and say, this is why maybe necessarily you didn't get some of the production. But if I were to, and I'll pass the Hardge on this, taking the off the field situation out of it right now, I'm thinking 3 for Isaiah Bond. I mean, maybe 3 is low. Maybe he slides into round 2, but I still know this is a deeper receiver draft. And I just don't know if you got enough production this year to really justify him going, day 1, of course, round 1, and then the first part of day 2 in round 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow up on that and say the same thing, but I do have him going as a 3rd or 4th round guy, regardless of the other stuff that is going on. It all goes back to what is your team's need at that position. You start looking around and looking at some of these other teams, and what are you going to use them for? You're going to use him as a wide receiver. You're going to use him as a return specialist. Are you going to put him in unique situations that is going to be a little bit different than what he was capable of doing at this time? Yes, you're right, Eric. He was kind of banged up. He was dealing with a banged up quarterback, and he wasn't able to excel at what his strengths are. But that's why at the next level, you find a way to get him to where he needs to be. And if he does become that home run hitter that you were looking for to be able to stretch the field, then you knock it out of the park with him. But as of right now, I'm sure that there's some other names that might jump out in front of him. And it goes back to what you said, Law, about the run on certain positions. If there's a run on a certain position, boom, you might be able to jump at him, and his stock may rise a little bit quicker.
No doubt, man. And when you're speaking of that, if things, some teams don't have that capability to take a kid of this thing that's going through those situations, but I know one team that can take it, and no one would be like, hey, what's going on? It's the Dallas Cowboys. I know Jerry Jones, if it goes to that point.
What's your point?
Hey, Jerry, hold on, Jerry. Hold on. What I'm getting at, Jerry, if this kid starts slipping and we don't have a 4th round draft pick, and I think we lost a 5th round draft pick, and if he starts slipping a little bit, that's an absolute steal if you get him in the 5th or the 6th round, or even in the 7th, dare I say. So he's going to get drafted, ladies and gentlemen. He's just too much talent, too much upside. And like you said, one of the things that you couldn't really evaluate was the fact that he didn't have a quarterback that can put it right on the numbers for him.
Nope, no doubt.
So with that being said, let me add one more piece of this thing right here, man. But a couple more pieces, because all of these guys that I'm adding, they are listed in the top 100s, and that's crazy of Texas with all of the talent. Eric, what happened, man? What happened to the Natty, man? What happened, bro? I didn't get a chance to get your thoughts. What happened, man?
Caleb Downs blew it up. That's what happened. That's precisely what happened.
Yeah. Make a case for Gunnar.
Hardge, I got to lead off on this one. This has been my guy since day 1. One of the first assignments I got when I joined 24/7 covering Texas was to kind of look at the tight end position. This is going back 2023 with JT Sanders and where they were going to go. And everything I read and everyone told me is Helm. All right, he's just a blocking guy, right? Yeah. He's just a big blocking guy. And I looked at him and I'm like, I see that, but he's a little more athletic. They made it seem like he was an undersized offensive lineman out there at tight end. I saw athleticism, even going back to 23. I said, okay, this kid can provide some value. Yeah. Right? He works under JT Sanders. For your audience who may not know, Gunnar Helm was the 2nd lowest rated recruit in his class when he came into Texas, coming out of 3-star recruit, coming out of Cherry Creek, Colorado, and did everything. Basically had a conversation with Jeff Banks and said, hey, coach, what do I got to do to get on the field? And Jeff Banks said he did nothing but bust his ass to get on the field.
Nasty. Yeah.
Nasty is a really good inline blocker. Where I think his stock rose this year is he showed the ability in Sark's offense to kind of play that, what I'll call the JT Sanders role, which is flex into the slot, right? Look at Michigan. I know y'all watched the Michigan game. How many times did you see big 6'5", 250 Gunnar Helm big body, give him that safety blanket for Quinn Ewers. Especially, I think Gunnar is going to be an excellent guy in the red zone where he can use his size, where when the field shrinks a little bit, it's not about can I outrun this guy, is can I use my body? Can I leverage? Kind of be that power forward, right? Go up and get the ball. But also, I think Gunnar, you can throw his 40 time out the window. I think he plays faster than whatever that straight. He's never going to be a track guy, right? Whatever that straight line speed is, he plays faster than that. So for me, I know some people will say Gunnar Helm 4. I would take Gunnar Helm, quite frankly, as high as if you really like him in your offense.
Right.
I'd take him late second in my mind. I just really like everything he brings to the table.
Say it again. Say it again. Hold on. Say that again.
I say late second. If you really like everything you get with Gunnar Helm and what he brings to the table, I would say late second round, because overall tight end, you got everything you need right there.
Yeah, he's to piggyback off of what E was saying. This guy, he understands the game of football, and you're not a 5-star recruit. You're a guy that's got to come here and work. And he came to the University of Texas and put in work. He could have went to any school and went and put in the work, but he took it to heart. He had a guy in front of him that was supposed to be a potential first-round pick in JT Sanders. You see what he's doing in the league. This was a guy that he wasn't featured. He would come in on blocking plays, but he would find a way to get open. If they had to throw a pass, he was always in the right spot. And he was the catalyst to kind of copy what he was saying. He was the one that Quinn Ewers would look to when time of need. But the other guy that we're going to talk about here in a second was the main guy. But when you start looking at what Gunnar Helm is, he is going to be a guy that, again, is going to play in the NFL for a very, very long time because of his fundamental work and his fundamentally sound approach to the ballgame. No doubt.
And then we're going to just bring this up just so we make sure we cover all. There's a big hole for the Cowboys. We got Cooper Beebe playing inside as that center. But his natural position, I think that they wanted him to play guard, like right guard, right? And now that we have Zach Martin gone, in the later rounds or mid rounds, where do you guys see Jake Majors at? If he's drafted at all for the Cowboys, if he somehow come here?
I think that he's one of those guys that you want to have on your team because he is an experienced person. You're not going to have a lot of drama. He's going to come in and go to work. He has the most starts, most games played at the University of Texas, more than anybody. But he is one of those dudes that if you have him on your team, you're not going to be disappointed. I don't know if he does get drafted because of his age. A lot of people will probably look at him and say, hey, he'll be around. We can get him in. But he is definitely one of the guys that was our go-to anytime we needed to have a conversation. He was the guy that always was there for the conversation.
No doubt, man.
And before we switch it up, to all your viewers and your listeners, you do understand that this show is about the Texas Cowboys, which is why we're talking a lot about Texas. It's not about glazing. He brought us on to talk about Texas.
Get him, man. Get him, Mike.
I'm curious why we're talking about Texas. We were asked to talk about Texas, in case you hadn't noticed, all the players.
Yeah. Hey, boy, we gotta get it out there, man, because at the end of the day, man, you guys had a hell of a great program, and all of these prospects we talked about, I believe they can all help the Dallas Cowboys. I haven't seen not one person that can't. Majors, baby, but you, like I said, these are all guys that's within the top 130 or 100 right here, and we're going to get to Matthew Golden because everybody loved Matthew Golden, and I know we pressed for time. I know you guys may have other things to do today on this Good Friday, but I want to bring up the linebacker Sorrell. What's your thoughts on him? Come on with it.
Yeah, no, on Barron.
Because I'm a glaze on that one.
Yeah.
First of all, I like Hardge tapping into Stephen A. Smith. Said, let me talk to y'all for a second. Let me tell y'all something.
Tap into your Stephen A. Smith. Man. Come on with
it. With Barron, he's an interesting prospect to me, right? Because of his size. You know what I think honestly would be a real good fit for him? And forgive me, I don't watch a ton of Cowboys football because as Hardge would tell you, I'm a native Floridian, so I got that NFL Sunday pit ticket to watch other games than the Cowboys. However, where I think he would be a good fit is in a 3-4 as a rush and linebacker, because I think Barron, he's not a guy that's necessarily going to stand up and cover, right? I know there's teams who may like him as a linebacker. I think if you are going to take him as a linebacker, you probably want him playing south of 250, probably closer to 240-ish range, which I think Barron's playing weight is probably closer to 255, 260, 265. Strictly as an end, just a guy, solid prospect, excellent on the edge, is going to do all those things that don't show up on a stat sheet, right? Set the edge, kick plays back inside, force it back to your defensive tackles, all of those things. And I think Barron, honestly, maybe I'm going to glaze here a little bit, but I think Barron, in terms of pass rushing, I think Barron, in terms of pass rushing, is going to be better as a pro than he was in college, right?
I like that.
When you have Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, Trey Moore, other guys who maybe, some of the situations are kind of designed for them to pass rush, I think Barron is going to be, listen, the best case scenario with Barron is probably Cam Jordan, but maybe Cam Jordan light, because I don't think Barron's going to make as many Pro Bowls as Cam Jordan will, but he'll do all of the things that Cam Jordan will for 7, 8, 9 years in the league.
No doubt, man. Hey,
and he's a Louisiana boy too. So you're talking about Cam Jordan. So he's one of those dudes too.
Man, come on with it. All right. So last but not least, man, we're gonna bring up the kid that everybody been talking about, man, and especially he called Jerry Jones Coach Jones, and a lot of people are with the belief that, hey, with the 12th pick of the NFL draft, the Cowboys select Matthew Golden. Any one of you guys can take the race on this one. I want to know your thoughts, where you got your comps at with him and beyond. I got Chris Olave, but I want to know what you guys have for Matthew Golden. Either one of you guys can go.
We are going to take Matthew because he called me coach. That would be the only reason why we're taking Matthew.
Matthew Golden is a special talent. When he was at the University of Houston,
right,
he almost beat Texas by himself. I mean, I think that was the end all be all for what what the Texas Longhorns were looking at. We didn't know what Texas was going to get. We knew he was talented. Didn't know he was going to become the number 1 wide receiver at the University of Texas. Didn't know he could run that fast. And as he told a lot of people, I wasn't asked to do that at Texas. My role was a little bit different. But the ability for him to make plays, and what the Dallas Cowboys need is another wide receiver to kind of offset what CeeDee Lamb is trying to do. When CeeDee Lamb is good, what is he doing? He's in motion and he's in the slot because he's tough to guard in that situation. So what do? You go and get a burner, put him on the outside, and let him stretch the field, and you can have somebody to complement what CeeDee Lamb already brings to the table. CeeDee's going to do his thing, and it's going to be another great season for him. But Matthew Golden is a guy that can be a difference maker and be an impactful difference maker right away.
Yeah, with his short area quickness and the ability to stretch the field. My thing is, will it be a log jam? Because I see Golden, he can play the X and the Z, but that's where CD plays the X and the Z. So some of the times, like when we wanted to see CeeDee Lamb to get off, we had Brandon Cooks. We was like, Cooks on the outside, they waved him off. He didn't no longer run at 4.3 speed. So do you think that Matthew Golden can live on the outside as that number 1-2 receiver or that B receiver? Do you really think that altogether? Either one of y'all could take that.
Buddy.
No, I do. And it's funny, right? Again, I'm probably going to use another dated comp. I do like the Chris Olave comparison. I know that's the one that NFL.com has.
Yep.
I, keeping it in the Texas realm, but going to that team down in Houston, I look at Matt Golden and his game, the things he does strictly as a receiver, as a smaller Andre Johnson, in my mind.
Okay.
Andre Johnson, of course, was about 6'2", 6'3", 215.
Right.
But Matt plays more physical. I talked about the route running earlier with IB. Matt Golden's a really, really good route runner. Gets himself open. Those are the things you want. Watch the Arizona State game. For anyone who hasn't really seen Matt Golden play, right? Goes up, gets the ball at the point of attack, not catching it with his chest, going up, getting it with his hands, positioning himself to play bigger. That's one of the things that and listen, I don't claim to be a draft analyst. I just, when I cover football and I watch, one of the things I like to see in terms of receivers is, can you play bigger than your size, right? Yeah. Matt Golden was, I think Combine came in, 5'11", a $195, $193, something like that. Matt Golden plays bigger than that, right? Yeah, you're gonna get value in the return game should you choose to use him there.
Yeah, I saw that when he played at the University of Houston. He did some good returns. Texas didn't use him at that aspect, but he can do some return. Yeah, go ahead.
He can return. Also, one of the other things that I look for, right, when you're talking about someone who's played at multiple schools, Matt Golden's receiver, Matt Golden's quarterback at Houston was Donovan Smith. I like Donovan Smith, a nice college quarterback, but by no means is he a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward or anyone like that, right?
Right.
And for anyone who may wonder, all right, what about his freshman year numbers? Was Matt Golden was banged up his freshman year a little bit, right? So that affected his freshman year numbers a little bit. But I always thought in terms of ceiling, he was higher than quote unquote a Houston when they were playing in the American, right? I always thought he was a much more in terms of ceiling, a higher talent. So if you are Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and you think you have an opportunity to make that splash decision, I don't mind taking Matt Golden because I think you're going to get a solid overall impact on the team. That's what I need impact at the first round, especially top 15. And Matt,
if you never seen like college football and you start watching football for the first year, right? And you in the war room and they give you a choice. You've seen all of Tet's tape. Tet is T-Mac for those who don't know, Tedero McMillan, right? And you've seen all of Golden. Make your strong argument of why you picking Matthew Golden over Tet right now.
This is going to sound like a lazy argument, but this is just my opinion. I think Sark's system is a little more it's much more adaptable to what you're going to do in the NFL, right? If you talk about someone who can step in immediately and do the things that's asked of an NFL receiver, go look at Steve's track record, right? A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy. You can go back to his time at SC. Hell, he made, and I think this would probably be the biggest ringing endorsement for Steve Sarkisian in terms of receivers. He made John Ross a first-round pick, right? That in conjunction with the 4.2, right? John Ross previously held the 40-yard dash record for Xavier Worthy. But John Ross was a guy who, if you watch football, I'm not shading John Ross. John Ross was the definition of a track guy who plays football, all right? And turned him into a first-round pick. So that would be, from a overall scheme perspective, why I would prioritize Matt Golden.
Man, Eric, man, you good, bro. You good. Hardge, what you got, bro?
Well, he's right. When you start to break down the film and you look at how it all plays itself out, you look at Matthew Golden, and the other part of it is he was with – Eric gave you the quarterbacks that he was with, but then he gave you the system that he was in.
Brother provided historical data.
Right. And he's going to give you that opportunity to get better and better every single day in the NFL. So what you saw was the upside and the ability to learn and the ability to adapt. You heard about the conversation where he was having a tough time with the offense. So he didn't text his wide receivers coach. He actually texted the head coach and said, can you watch some film with me so I can get a better understanding and a better grasp of this offense, because it's an extremely high level offense that you're going to be in at the next level. So why not go to an offensive play caller like Steve Sarkisian to get a better understanding of the route concepts, where I need to be, the depths, and understanding the calls. So to me, I'm looking at him and I'm realizing that as you look at each step of the way, and you said it, you went and looked at his numbers and you saw where he was at and where he is now. I see him only getting better in the right system and learning at the next level.
Man, that's some good stuff, man. This been a great show, man. And I didn't have a good time at all, y'all. I didn't, man. I had a great time, man, with you guys, man, talking about the Texas Cowboys or the Dallas Longhorns, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, before we depart, man, can y'all tell people where they can find and follow you all, especially as it relates to talking football and sports and beyond?
No doubt. You can follow me at Hardball Hardge on social media. You can also tune in to the morning kickoff Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on AM 1300 The Zone. Law will be on with me next week. Eric Henry is on with me every Thursday throughout the year. And we just have a lot of fun. And, oh, yeah, my co-host just happens to be a WWE Hall of Famer and the world's strongest man, the Mark Henry. So we have a good time. So come on in.
Come on with it, y'all. Hey, check them out, man. We had a great time. Great education for the nation. Now we are very, 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 very intrigued with the UT guys over there. Come on with it.
Hey,
Cowboy Nation, stand tall and not at all. Mama said there'll be days just like this. Let's go draft him. Matthew Golden. Come on with it. Living my life like it's golden. Until next time, DC for life, not for short. Peace.